Hey everyone, and welcome to the FourVision podcast. I'm your host, Ivo, and every week I'm going to have a conversation that matters about HR. This week, with me, I have Kamal Radhakrishnaiah. Welcome, Kamal. How are you?
Hi, Ivo. Thanks for having me. I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing great, doing great.
And you
Beautiful
got my
Saturday
last
morning.
name. You got
I
my
did?
last name right. Yeah.
Amazing, amazing. I'm very happy. From now on, if you don't mind, I'm going to call you only from the first name. Okay, so Kamal is an HR solution architect, a Microsoft MVP, and owner of the NoCode HR blog. Today, he's here with me to talk about technology related to HR. So tech and HR will be the subject of this episode. So, Kamal, you ready? Excited?
Yeah, I'm ready. Yeah, I'm excited. So thanks for having me here again. So yeah, I'm looking
Perfect.
forward to the conversation.
Awesome. Let's go for it then. So, as usual, I always ask my guests a small introduction about themselves. So about you, tell me about you and your professional background. Let's start there.
Okay, so you guys know my name. So I live in Netherlands for 5 years now with my wife, and we have a 3-year-old daughter. And we are originally from India. So we migrated to the Netherlands in 2016, June, I think. So that's a bit about my personal background and professional wise, not by design, but I evolved to be a HR technology enthusiast in my career. So I worked across different industries and different HR technology solution platforms, so to say, like Oracle, Microsoft, and SAP. So that's a bit about me. And in May this year, I also got the MVP status from Microsoft. So that's I'm very happy and excited about that. So.
Yeah, that's congrats. First of all, it's curious. I came to the Netherlands in 2016 as well in August, so
okay.
more or less at the same time. It's quite interesting. Yeah. So, but your studies were about technology. They were not about HR, I suppose, since you said that it was
not by
kind
design.
Of by design, exactly.
So. I actually studied mechanical engineering in my university.
Wow. Okay.
So and then I happened to start my career at Oracle Consulting as part of the HR technology division, so to say. And once I was involved in the initial assignments, which was related to PeopleSoft back in the days, and a bit about Oracle Cloud. It got me interested, and I was curious about HR, and I did know a bit about HR before I started off on the assignments and everything, but I did not have the expertise to kind of go through and understand the business requirements. So once I started working, I also started doing my MBA in parallel with HR as a specialization, so that I can align myself to what I was actually doing. So when I look back, I think being where I am in my profession, it was it just happened by chance, and some things came across, and then I started becoming curious about it, and that was how I ended up with HR as an expertise now, and technology was more. I was involved in technology when I was studying in university, but not IT, so to say, not software and tech that supports businesses in the background or something like that. So I was always interested in tech and try to do some things in technology, but not the way I'm doing now. I never thought I would be doing what I'm doing now. So
it was an interesting chance, or sort of happened.
Yeah. And it's most of the times it's like that. I feel in India, but although there are people who are very enthusiastic in a specific tech and they kind of pursue education and kind of work in the same industry. But it was not the case with me.
All right. So you landed in HR, in HR technology. what keeps you still excited about it?
So one of the things that's interesting for me in HR is it looks so simple when you look at it from the outside, but when you actually start looking at it from the inside, from a HR department's perspective, it is more complex than it looks. And the reason being, if you look at any other process, right? So when you look at HR as a process, it is geography dependent, and it varies for every country. And when you look at other processes, maybe you have the opportunity to centralize a lot of processes, but with HR, it's always local. So you kind of end up having different discussions about the same process when you discuss with people from different countries. And that kind of also brings me to the cultural aspect of my job. So I've always been lucky to kind of work with people from different geographies. I'm Indian by nature, and I seem to think I'm flexible. But when I actually work, with different people, I realize there's so much more to learn. From a cultural standpoint, in the way of working, in the way of working together. Or doing projects together, for example. So that kind of keeps me going, I feel. So there's a lot I can learn, from work perspective, because every time I feel I know something, there's always more to it. And I realize there's nothing I know about it. And the other aspect is I get to meet people from different cultural backgrounds, because HR by nature is like that. So when you work for any project or any company, you're always involved with people from different countries, because it's most of the time it's a global corporation where you have people, HR departments from different countries working on the projects. So those are the two things I think that I feel happy about. And on the technology side, it keeps evolving, I feel. So in the last 9 years, I feel there's a lot that has happened in the world of tech and HR, and the way businesses look at HR has changed drastically. So I feel there's a lot of disruption that keeps happening. And that's one of the reasons that I feel there's a lot I can learn and also look at things differently.
Very interesting. Yeah, that's a good perspective on it. So you said before that you have experience with I guess we can say some of the major platforms for technology and technology related to HR. So Oracle, SAP, and Microsoft. I know that now you are more focused on Microsoft. You were part of our company at FourVision before. Why do you think you're now more focused on Microsoft, or do you see it in the same plane? What is your perspective from these companies that you have experience with?
So that's a very interesting question, which I try to think of many times every time I experience a new technology. So on one end, I kind of started off focus on Oracle technology in the beginning of my career, and I believed that it was the best, and I still believe it is the best. But then I kind of shifted the perspective to Microsoft technology and Dynamics 365 as a solution, and which can support HR technology. And then my perspective also said this is also the best.
Okay, yeah.
and then when I looked at SAP, for example, now, then I feel SAP SuccessFactors is also the best. But then when I combine all the work I've done and I look at it from an objective perspective, none of the products can meet all the requirements. So that
actually goes back to what you're saying, the complexity of HR processes of different geographies, and they focus in different parts of the processes, right?
Exactly. So every company looks at each of these solutions differently. although these solutions are built to meet all the global requirements, you cannot really say, everything is 100%. So it's like a paradox, right? And that is where, when you look at it, the art of consulting and trying to solve problems with the best effort and best solution available comes into place. And companies like FourVision or any other consulting company, that is where it helps the businesses kind of look at how the technology can support the business in the optimized way. And it can be not perfect, but it is the most optimized solution for a particular situation. And that's what I feel when I try to compare things. It's actually not fair to do the comparison, I feel.
I get that.
So and it's also a learning, and every solution and every scenario has its own perspective, and we have to look at it more open with the perspective of how can we optimize the situation with the parameters we have at hand. And most of the time, we will never be able to meet 100% of making everybody happy. So if we reach some point of where everybody can look at each other and smile, from business and IT, then I think we have been successful, I think.
Do you think of those three platforms, they have the same level of personalization? And what I mean by that is you as a consultant or someone that actually works with HR tech that chooses one of these platforms or actually is specialized in one of these platforms. Do you think Microsoft allows a bit more personalization, for example? Because I know Microsoft better, I have to say. And it seems that there are some levels of personalization that you can adapt, help the customer with. What do you think of that? Do you think it's the same level? All the three, they can actually have a lot of personalization?
So see, from a pure technical sense, I would say they do support extensibility to a certain extent, right? So and to what extent and what is the complexity of it? Like for example, if you look at Microsoft technology, then the future, of looking at extensibility is maybe in X++ technology platform that allows extensibility on Dynamics side, or maybe Power Platform that allows extensions on first party customer engagement application side, and there is similar capabilities on others. And when you look at moving into cloud, all these, all the big vendors kind of support low-code, no-code extension platforms, which is hosted on cloud as a platform as a service solution. And whether on the technical side, is it the same or not? I'm pretty sure they will not be at the same, way of working, but they would offer the same level of flexibility, I think. So they would offer the same level of flexibility. Maybe in some areas, some platforms are a bit more complex or a bit more simple, but it varies. So I think I still go with the same answer where I say all of them are
the best.
Yeah. So
all of them are the best.
Yeah. So I'm a bit objective about that. So
no, I get it. You work with and I guess it depends a lot also on the type of company you have at hand. What are their needs, their requirements, their budget as well, because these solutions they differ in terms of budget as well. Yeah, I think it's a good approach to have.
The other thing that comes to my mind, Ivo, is when we look at scenarios where you want to extend the standard solutions, then you can also look at some things which are offered standard by a partner. Like FourVision offers a set of standard extensions which may support some localizations, and in the same way, all of the other platforms also support some kind of extensibility. So partners kind of build solutions which are specific to an industry or which are specific to a specific geography, and that would be an easy solution when you look at it from a customer perspective.
I get that. Yeah, that makes sense. Now, I know that for the last couple of years, you've been more connected to Microsoft. Of course, you are a Microsoft MVP. For people that don't know exactly what that means in terms of, of getting that award or that recognition from Microsoft, can you explain a little bit what that is?
Okay. So the first real conversation I had about MVP was with one of the MVPs from Australia, Amy Holden, and I was just asking her about the same question. So I was like, I was telling her that I'm very curious about it and what does it mean and everything. So the first thing she told me was it's a long journey. So being MVP is a journey, and it's not like a one time kind of getting the award and it means something. So it's more about the passion for sharing what you know. So that is what she told me, and also in the process you kind of learn a lot. So when you try to share your knowledge, so you kind of learn a lot. So she was more explaining that you kind of have to start sharing your knowledge, and then at some point in time, if you feel or if a community member feels that you've shared content that adds a lot of value to other people in the community, then being MVP is a recognition from Microsoft that you have contributed positively to the community and shared your knowledge, and the recognition kind of helps any individual kind of scale up that knowledge sharing into a next level. So it kind of helps your journey of your passion to share knowledge go to a next level. And I kind of resonate with that after I got the award, so to say, because Microsoft also kind of supports you to know things better and learn more. It kind of supports your journey of knowledge sharing and being passionate about Microsoft tech. Being an MVP kind of gives you some more opportunities in the direction of exploring Microsoft tech better. I think it's been quite like a journey to reach there. A lot of learning in the process, I feel. So.
It's a one-time award, or you can actually have it like every year or something like that.
So it's a annual award. So it's more like you need to renew. So you can. It's not like one time and you stop it. So it's you continue to be part of the community and share your knowledge. Then you get a renewal. So every year.
Okay.
And I think July 1st was the annual renewal cycle, and you would have noticed there's a lot of people, who's renewed their MVP status, which is great. And I think there are around 3,500 MVPs across the globe now. So
nice. Well, apparently you're helping the community, and that's a great thing. I think we set basically the background, your expertise. Your view on the platforms. Now I want to go a level deeper into tech and HR. So the question I have for you, it's what in your view is the importance of tech in HR? How can actually technology can enhance the lives of recruiters, HR professionals, and IT alike?
Yeah. So let's take an example of any business, right? So let's take a automotive industry. So we have a company and they manufacture cars, and when you look at what makes the business work is yes, technology makes it work, and it gives a product that comes out of the company which can be sold.
Yeah.
But when you look at it, people are the key part of the business. So it's the people within the company that are making the rest of it work, and all the people aspect traditionally was considered to be part of HR, and it still is. So human resources as a business function, so to say, kind of understands how all the people in your company are feeling and how are they growing and what do they bring to the table, right? Um, and when we look at how that has changed, so in the past, like a long time ago, human resources as a business function was maybe looked at more from a compliance and back office function, so to say, and they would, support the business to get the end product out into the market, right? But when you look at it now, over a few years already, human resources is a strategic partner of the business. So they kind of support the business to understand what the people's skills that are necessary to make the business sustainable over a long period of time. So, any company can have awesome technology today, and it's a breakthrough in the industry, and that breakthrough will never stay the same for 10 years time, because the rest of the industry will adopt to that breakthrough and learn from it and make the end product even better. So the products and technology keep changing and keep getting better, but the people in your company are your real assets. So when we look at this perspective of human resources and see how technology can support, when you look at it from a HR perspective, is technology kind of helps everybody stay connected. So a simple example, so you have different types of workforce in a company. So you have executives, you have back office, professionals, you have, IT professionals, you have, shop floor workers who are blue collar, for example. But from a human resource perspective, you would want all of them to know each other and also understand what each other are doing. And one of the things can be like having a simple org chart on an employee self-service application. Mm-hmm. So that is the technology that can link things together. Or it can be something like, okay, you have like a compliance process from a HR perspective that you need to, let's say, have a regular performance interview in a specific country, right? And then having a self-service application kind of helps people do it quicker and stay connected. So as an employee and manager, you can have a conversation digitally. Everything is easy to kind of go about, and maybe in a mobile, for example. So HR kind of depends on technology to enhance the experience of an employee in the company. And when I say this, you can kind of broadly say employees and managers are the key stakeholders from a HR perspective. And in the background, of course, HR professionals itself, they kind of drive this technology. But in many cases, you would also want the support from your executive office to kind of look at technology and HR in the same way as HR would like it to look at, for the rest of the company. So HR and tech kind of enable the business to be sustainable is what I feel overall. So.
Do you think IT plays a big role as well, right? Or not at all? What do you think?
So IT is the most critical part of the equation, I feel, because the way HR as a function changed over the years is now all the HR professionals are tech savvy. And they want to use technology to support every process within HR. Like it can be simple compliance process where they need to submit some audit reports to an external organization. They would want it to happen quickly. They would want, ready to send reports available from your technology platform. And also on the end user side, like employees and managers staying connected, the amount of information they have to access at their fingertips. I think technology is the key enabler in the process. So it is the main factor of the equation.
Yeah, no, I'm asking that because I was in a couple of episodes ago, we were talking with Anna about, sometimes one of the challenges that she finds as a consultant when she gets to a customer is that you have small budgets sometimes displayed to HR, and then they invest in solutions without aligning with IT, and then it's a whole Frankenstein, of small solutions here and there. So it's important, I think, to get the message out there that involve your IT with it. Yeah. If you get a dysfunctional not company, but
applications.
Landscape of applications, or even plan in your IT, involve your IT so you have an integrated solution. I think that's a good message to put out there, don't you think?
Yeah, I agree. So basically, when it comes to how your HR technology is evolving over a period of time, I think it should be a technology-driven transformation than a business-driven transformation. Of course, they go hand in hand. So we cannot so there cannot be a scenario where you kind of say from IT perspective, having this technology makes sense, but if it doesn't solve a business problem, then it would also complicate the situation. So I think it's a very good balance between how business looks at IT and IT looks at business. So there should be a common playground for both to come together and say this is the technology that would solve a specific business problem. And there can be scenarios where you really have a use case which would make you adopt a technology which is not supported in your landscape. So, when you look at it as a company, right? So let's say, for example, you take any of the bigger corporations, they either adopt one of the big vendors into their landscape. Like, let's say if a company is using Microsoft technology, and we can take a real example. So when I wouldn't name the company, but if a company is using Microsoft technology, and they see that there is a specific business case, for example, to expedite the recruitment process with the automation, and then they see, okay, the standard solutions may not support it, then what you would do is try to understand how much value is created for the business by adopting an external solution. It can be a Phenom people, or it can be, iSIMS, for example, where Microsoft is kind of saying, okay, we would support standard integration with the external technology stack. So then the decision comes down to, is investing in this technology, which is out of our standard landscape, worth or not? And that's a very, very critical decision to take. In many situations, you may say, yes, it does. And when you ask the business, it always is a yes. But when you ask the IT team, they would say yes, but how do we look at it from a long-term perspective?
Yeah.
So there was a point in time when all the companies were moving to cloud, that it is always good to kind of invest in one application and one bigger solution as a standard go-to. But I also see nowadays, because not everybody knows everything, right? So
of course,
everybody has the expertise, and there is a specific vendor which knows heavily about recruitment. And as a company, we would want that expertise to solve our business process, and then you would adopt different solutions. But the key is to make those decisions critically. So you should kind of understand the value it brings in, the technology complexity it adds to the landscape, and then make a decision and say, okay, this is what will help us in the next 5 years. And this decision can be totally wrong in 5 years' time, and which is also okay. So that is how technology is evolving. So it's
how business goes. That's
exactly.
Sometimes you need to make decisions. It's better to take a decision than no decision at all. Sometimes
exactly. And also as a business, maybe you're in a high growth scenario now, and you're growing so rapidly that your recruitment process is the key now. And in 5 years' time, you have become a stable organization. You have a stable growth, and recruitment process can take a back step in 5 years' time. So I think it's really complex to say in a general way, but we have to really analyze each scenario and then make a decision. But in general, I think the standard approach is stay as close to standard. Don't try to adopt too much complexity in your landscape, because it adds to your technology debt. You have to maintain the solutions, maintain the integrations. Like Anna said, having different applications in the landscape is always complex. But it also needs a different objective look sometimes. So as a standard, I agree with that statement. But I think, there are other scenarios also that kind of comes across to my mind.
Yeah, that's it's very complex indeed.
Yeah.
It depends. It depends a lot, and I think that's actually is a good segue to the next question. Since there are so much complexity in businesses, in companies, different sizes of HR, of business as a whole, different markets, technologies involved, stakeholders involved, everything, different geographies with different legal entities and all that. Do you think every company, or at least most companies, should actually have someone in HR that is and kind of what you're doing now, like an HR solutions architect, someone that actually thinks about the processes, and only his job is actually to make everything function better in terms of processes, but also like what are the systems that we need right now as the company that we need to have in relation and manage those relationships with IT, with the executive management and all that. Do you think that person would be a great addition, or every company should look for?
So when you look at how the organizations kind of grow, right? So you have companies starting off, let's say 50 employees as an example, and then you have a few IT employees, let's say 3 or 4 of them, who kind of specialize in getting things up and running. Yeah. And then you have back office functions like finance, human resources, supply chain, etc. So they're the SMEs, the subject matter experts in the process and everything. And then you kind of, as let's say, as a chief executive and a financial officer, you kind of say, okay, we are growing now, and we need some technology to support our growth. And the experts in the company, kind of check a few things and say, oh, we need to adopt XYZ technology to support this process. And then you start using the technology. Like I said, every technology is the same. Everything is perfect, but you still have your own ways of doing things, and you kind of end up in scenarios where you can optimize more. And then a few years down the line, what happens is you continue to use the technology you have and adopt a few new technology into your landscape, and then you don't really look at it from a perspective of how everything is working together. And that continues for a longer time, and your organization is 100,000 employees now, and you still have the same tech in place, right? So architecture, and it's something I'm kind of curious and learning, now also. So architecture. So when you look at different things of how HR technology or technology in general connects, so you have business as a team of professionals who say what is needed to make sure the end product of the company is coming out to the market, right? So if it's an auto company, then the cars have to come out. So that is the end product. And the business teams, like the supply chain team, the manufacturing team, are letting us know what is critical to make that happen. And then you have the IT team, which is maintaining the applications to support the business requirements. And when you look at architecture as a practice, so it's basically connecting the IT and business together and making sure you have like the North Star in mind, and say, okay, we have these business requirements, which will also evolve in the future. And we have these IT solutions, which should also evolve in the future. And how can we connect these two together to make sure we have a roadmap that will make our lives more easy? So the decisions can be that, okay, one of the decisions can be we want to streamline all our technology investments in one landscape, which can be Microsoft, for example. And keeping a view of things and say, this is what we want to achieve 10 years from now. what is step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, and how do we continuously make the business and IT talk to each other to understand that goal, right? So every time we have a discussion of deviating from that North Star, how can we try to explain this is what is our goal, and if we do this, we have an impact. So it's architecture in a way is trying to connect those two dots with the long-term vision, and it is. Yeah,
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but if I understand it correctly, like it's still very complex. Like you should benefit from having someone thinking about that tech roadmap in HR, but it also depends on the business needs and on the size of the company. Not all companies can focus on that.
Exactly.
Right?
So having a HR solution architect as a dedicated role depends on the amount of complexity you have in your landscape. So if you have the complexity, then it automatically derives the need to have the role. But at the same time, you can have like an enterprise architect who can support all the business domains also.
So not only HR. Yeah.
So it definitely adds value. But I would say, if your size is big enough and your technology landscape is complex, then it is a must to have. So if it is a simple, if it's a small company and a simple landscape, maybe a HR consultant can already do that. Because it's more about thinking a bit long term than the current project. So that's my view of it.
Yeah, I think the main theme of this conversation will be, watch out. HR is very complex. You should take it lightly.
Definitely. So
yeah.
Yeah.
I have one last question for you. I think we are already with a good timing on this episode. It's basically the future. What do you see coming in the future of HR technology? Are there any trends? We talked before in this podcast about automation and diversity and inclusion, but especially in HR technology, there are any trends that you see coming? Do you think in which areas do you think companies will invest more?
So, when you look at trends, right? So it's always related to disruption, I feel. Mm-hmm. So, and at the moment, for example, electric vehicles is a disruption that's happening in the industry. And when you look at how that specific disruption impacts HR as a business function is, there's a movement of skills, right? So if you look at, let's say, a big auto manufacturer who was specialized in manufacturing diesel vehicles, all the workforce that they have will be specialized in that technology. Mm-hmm. And now suddenly there's this huge change in the skills that are needed to build or manufacture electric vehicles. For example, like Volkswagen cars come out with Apple technology in it. So there's a collaboration, right? Or if you ride any car today, so you have a lot of IT within the car. So when you look at the company which is manufacturing, there's a skill shift that is happening within the company. So you need more IT people who are specialized in how to align the car with the technology that is necessary.
Yes.
So and from a HR perspective, the trend would be to make sure we are able to assess the disruption and depict, what the skills that are critical for the organization. So, and this trend is going to impact the way we look at HR tech. So what is the solution we have to be able to predict that skill gap in the future? So how do we plan the changes in the workforce, and how do we kind of understand, to invest in training, for example? So we have a set of people. So it can't be a scenario where you kind of change all the people, right? So you have to kind of train the people to be able to meet the requirements. So I think that's a big disruption, I feel, and that kind of impacts the way we look at transformations in HR space, and the way, all these technology, related stuff that supports HR as a business function to train the workforce, etc. The next one I feel is specifically to mixed reality, and just to being a Microsoft VP, I'm very excited about HoloLens. I'm still learning the basics of it, of how mixed reality can support two things. So one is how can you kind of train your employees? So if you're like, again, a manufacturing industry or let's say a retail company or anything, you hire a new employee and the new employee has to start picking stuff and putting it on the shelves in a supermarket, for example. So typically what would happen, you have another employee helping that person and say, okay, this is what you need to do, right? And when you look at mixed reality, so I think we are used to it from different perspectives of using it for games or etc. Like on a PS, PlayStation, etc. But when you adopt it into a business scenario, so I feel it's going to kind of disrupt the industry heavily. So it would optimize a lot of jobs. And say, okay, I want to train somebody on the job, then mixed reality solution can help them not just save the time for the other expert, but also make the new person get up to speed faster. So I think those are the two things I'm quite curious about and interested to learn more and how it's going to progress in the coming period.
For sure, they sound really good trends. Very interesting ones for sure, especially that last one. That would be very cool. Well, I think everything is moving there. So why not? Why not training people virtually? Yeah,
and you can see. I think this year there was also like a surgery that happened with HoloLens, and you see a lot of impact coming through from that because. Like, there was a use case where they said the experts in a specific area of like a surgery that was happening, like they were all geographically situated in many countries. And having a HoloLens looking at the same, scene in one physical location kind of helped get the surgery successfully done, but involving 18 or 20 specialists from across the globe. So that kind of training and learning experience with mixed reality is going to impact HR heavily because HR is the one who is planning those trainings and learning exercises.
Absolutely. Very interesting. Look, I think we had enough time. I think I took enough of your time. I really appreciate that. Maybe just since you help so much the community of Microsoft, maybe it would be nice to give you a shout out on the podcast about your blog. So it's nocodehr. .com. So if people want to know more about your work and what you do with the Microsoft community, they can have a lot of information there, right?
Yeah. So and I'm active on LinkedIn most of the time. So if there's anything in the world of Dynamics 365 human resources that I can help with, I will be happy to support and have a discussion. So I'm always open for a coffee chat. So
cool. So we're going to leave all that information in the summary of this episode. Once again, Kamal, thank you so much for taking the time. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Ivo, for having me. And I'm an ex-FourVision family member, so I'm very happy to be here and share my thoughts. So it's really nice of you to have me, and it was an exciting conversation for me, and I would definitely cherish this. Thanks a lot.
For sure. Let's maybe do it another time. Why not? Talking about something else.
Definitely. Thanks a lot, Ivo.
Thank you, Kamal. I'll see you next time. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.